I went to the Civil Affairs Bureau for the third time. Every time I went to the same man. My mother said the same thing to me 3 times in a row after she knew it. That is, the first time I went to the Civil Affairs Bureau was 11 years ago. My parents have been opposed to this marriage from the beginning, believing that we are not suitable for each other. On the one hand, my husband's conditions are not very good. Not only does he have a low income, but he also has a younger brother. My father-in-law is just an ordinary migrant worker. And my parents believe that there are 2 problems with such a native family. Firstly, there is high pressure for elderly care. And secondly, on the other hand, I am from Anhui and my husband is from Shanxi. He proposed to go back to my hometown in Shanxi for development and hoped that I would marry. However, at that time, as a newcomer to society, I didn't understand these principles and my parents' concerns. With my insistence, my parents compromised and agreed to the marriage by saying, "Don't regret it." They raised 100,000 yuan, including the dowry money. After getting married, I gave birth to a pair of children. I thought I could live a happy life. But what surprised me was that my parents' prophecy came true. On the one hand, getting married far away is indeed not a good thing for me. It took me a long time to adapt to both the local climate and dietary habits. Without familiar family and friends, I didn't know who to confide in after being wronged. On the other hand, mother-in-law is indeed biased, and not as serious as usual. When I had children, they didn't pay attention and didn't take care of the baby. They just wanted to continue working and saving money to marry their youngest son. Forget it. They came to our house every few days to borrow money in order to subsidize our youngest son. They took away the daily necessities when they saw them. And since I was young, I have never suffered any injustice. I have placed many hopes on my husband, hoping that he can stand up and uphold justice for me and the children. However, he either pretended to be deaf and mute or advised me not to argue with his parents to make it difficult for him to do so. 3 years ago, we entered the Civil Affairs Bureau for the second time, with the aim of ending our marriage, which was proposed by me. My husband initially disagreed and dragged on for 2 months, arguing about the custody of the child. When I said, "Okay, the son belongs to you and the daughter belongs to me," after ending my marriage, I took my daughter back to Hefei and rented a 2-bedroom apartment to live with her. Although my parents have repeatedly advised me to go back to my parents' house and take care of my children. In fact, upon learning that I was going to divorce, my parents also advised me to think twice and let me discuss with my husband to see if I could take my 2 children out of town and maintain a certain distance from his parents and younger brother. I also tried to give him one last chance. But seeing him hesitant, a sense of exhaustion swept through my body. When I got divorced, I thought I could be a single mother and take care of my daughter. I also thought he couldn't handle it properly and wouldn't treat his son unfairly. When we ended our marriage, our daughter was 5 years old and our son was 2 years old. We both had to work and take care of our children, and our family and company were on both sides. In the past 3 years, I have lost 2 jobs due to household chores, and my income has been unstable. I have been struggling with my daughter, and even had to use my dowry. And my husband also had a very bad time. A month ago, I was doing household chores at home, when my husband called me and said, "My son is sick and hospitalized in Hefei. He is crying and shouting to his mother." I quickly put down what I had in my hand, asked for a location, and rushed to the hospital. My daughter was clamoring to go. I only found out, when I arrived at the hospital, that my husband worked overtime that night, while my son stayed at home alone with the little dog. While chasing and playing, He knocked over the boiling water bottle. Seeing my son turn red and have many bubbles on his body, he hugged me and shouted for pain. My daughter helped my younger brother blow on the side. When my son was discharged and we returned to my place of residence, my husband personally cooked noodles. The two of us ate them silently and didn't speak until we finished eating. He said, "I thought for a moment." At that time, I didn't give him an answer, but asked him to give me some time to think carefully. I consulted my parents' opinions, and my mother said, I still said that sentence. You don't have to regret your choice. After experiencing a failed marriage, I considered it for 3 days and finally agreed to his request for remarriage. I also made my own request. I won't marry back to your hometown. Let's settle down in Hefei. I can't bear your parents treating me like that. I won't stop you from providing them with retirement, but I won't care about them. Also, if you hand over your salary to me, I'll give your parents 1,000 yuan a month. He agreed and immediately transferred all the money in his hand to my account. We entered the Civil Affairs Bureau for the 3rd time, and I don't know if doing so would lead to another fire. But I have 2 children,